Hello and welcome to the Course in Miracles, Living a Course in Miracles discussion group. It is Friday, September 14th, and it's 7 p.m. and I'm in Lakeway, Texas. I'm Angela Irving. I'm leading the course for this week. I'm leading the group for this week. So now we're going to take turns going around and introducing each of ourselves, and say where we are and what we're excited about for this call today. I'm excited because I like this subject matter, and I'm going to lead the group this week, which is exciting in various ways for me. So, all right, who wants to introduce themselves? Afternoon. How about Linda?
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Trying to make myself comfortable. Yeah, I know I picked two videos about, playfully like food addiction. The other one I just picked, I had a little sexual thing in there, but I mean, what I have dealt with in the past, I still have trouble with my diet. I mean, I guess maybe with something in your life they try to deal with on your own. And I do have my boyfriend with me, and I love him very much. I mean, it's just, he has his diet. It's called the SAD diet. Me, I'm doing the best I can. I'm not doing a good job, but I go to see the videos, which was about a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like really hit home with. So not only you have to be good to everybody, but you have to be good to yourself first, because you have to take care of yourself first and then everybody else.
Totally. Thank you for choosing those videos. I really enjoyed watching them, and I think there'll be really good things to discuss. Where are you calling in from, Linda?
Oh, Lancaster, California.
Cool.
And it's now 5:03 over here.
Awesome.
Oh, Nathan's here.
Awesome. Yay, Nathan. All right. So who wants to introduce themselves next?
Yeah, I can go next if that's okay.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm Mark. I'm from Liverpool in England. I haven't actually watched the videos because I've actually deleted the Facebook once I got the link, so I'm not 100% sure which videos we're talking about. But if I can understand what Linda was saying, it's something to do with food or diet.
Yeah, the first one is healing food addictions and eating disorders, and David Hoffmeister is the teacher. And the second one is Craving, Sex, and Food with David Hoffmeister talking as well. Similar.
Well, I haven't watched the videos, but it's definitely, I can just kind of pick up on my own experiences, I suppose. But I do love David Hoffmeister. So
cool. Yeah, he has a very calming way of talking. I enjoyed it.
I actually went to see him last year, 2 years ago. He was in England, and I spent a small fortune getting down to see him for maybe 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
That was nice.
Say the last part again.
It was nice seeing him. It was a nice experience. It was just very expensive.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's really cool that you get to do that. Well, thank you for being on, Mark. It's worth saying that it's 1 a.m. at your time, which is quite a dedicated time to be on a call like this. So thank you.
From.
Yeah. All right, Nathan.
What up?
Hey.
Nathan Lively. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Excited to be here to talk to you guys and be the object of your forgiveness, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I took some notes on these videos, and I took extensive notes actually. So I suppose in some ways my notes can serve for sort of like the sort of structure for anyone who hadn't watched them, and for any of you guys who are watching who hasn't seen them. So the first one was healing food addictions and eating disorders. And the question that the woman who was asking, the woman who's asking questions of David Hoffmeister said fear and anxiety. She had fear and anxiety regarding food and the belief in it. Sometimes she really feels it, and sometimes she doesn't. Kind of regarding like whether she's allergic to stuff, and whether her body wants to eat something or doesn't want to eat something, and how to deal with that. She wants to be able to eat anything that's in front of her and not worry, and was wondering if there's a process to embrace all food. And David Hoffmeister said, in the course it says, I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. And then he says that every day he's asking Holy Spirit, show me about what he should do with a lot of things in his life. Show me how to deal with this. Show me how to go forward. And Jesus apparently told him to eat whatever is served in 1991. Or these are just the highlights really for me. I'm like realizing this doesn't feel like a structure, but these are the things that I thought were really cool. Told him to eat whatever is served in 1991, and don't let food become between him and his brother, which ended up being the teaching that he needed to hear regarding food. I don't know what his history. Maybe Mark, you know about this because I don't know as much about David. If he had some kind of, or he had believed in some kind of food allergy or food ailment or something like that. I don't know. So let's see. And I also wrote down, there's so much that we go through in a day. If you do your lesson daily, it can be your torch. It basically leads you through the day on how to deal with all of these kinds of things. I loved, he mentioned overhearing a conversation between an American woman and an Indian woman regarding marriage practices, and how the Indian woman was thrilled about how she was going to use, or how, when she originally had an arranged marriage, that she decided she was going to be using that arranged marriage to learn a lot and to burn off all of her karma, and how the American woman was like, arranged marriage, what? But that is all about perspective and how you use your life as a classroom and such. I thought that was cool. He said also in his community there are guided marriages via people who are telepathic. The keyword is guided, because marriage is just a symbol, divorce is just a symbol. We already know, and we already know the answers. We just need to tune in for our guidance regarding what we need to do, which would be the daily lesson and any other stuff like connecting with Jesus and stuff. And I liked the very last thing he said in this video. There's a lot of meaning that gets tucked into a Twinkie. Like how many grams of sugar that you eat, what if I gain weight, what would that mean, that nobody loved me, etc. Like there's all kinds of things that you can kind of put in on food for it to mean way like so much for you, and like offer it to the Holy Spirit, and he'll lead you to where you need to go with that. So that was cool. Then the other video, wow, I took so many notes. Craving sex and food. He said sexual impulses are distorted miracle impulses. I thought this was really interesting, but all physical impulses are. God is constantly calling us to return back to him. But when it comes through the filter of the ego, it occurs to us as some kind of need or lack, which I thought was really interesting. Like when we get hungry or when we get cold, that God's like always calling to us through those impulses. But we can translate it in our mind different ways. That was cool. And he said, there's no wanting in heaven. Work with the Holy Spirit to experience miracle impulses directly, like by wanting to be truly helpful, letting go of judgments, be all-inclusive with love. And I thought it was interesting. He mentioned that they have an annual music and enlightenment festival with film now in the monastery in the canyon. But they have a Course in Miracles monastery, which I thought was very interesting. And that there are no vows because they are going for purity of thought, period. And so like taking a vow of purity of this or purity of that like is sort of unnecessary if you're going for purity of all of it. That was cool. Let's see. And he was talking about how like you bring your personality to the course / the spirit and ask for it to be used. Same thing with sexuality, like bring it to the spirit and ask it to be used by him to help you get outside yourself. Let's see, everything that the ego creates can be used by the Holy Spirit. But originally Jesus said, the only reason for sex is procreation. Oh yeah, this was the weird conversation that was about like the Ur text and like all this text that Helen and Bill had written down that was information for them, but it didn't need to be public because basically the course was the answer to their call for help by there must be another way. And so here comes the course. It's like, 3,000 pages plus. And so there's this whole conversation about people wanting to get to the Ur text, but like you have to be in the right place to be able to not take it in the controversial way because it was meant for Helen and Bill. I thought that was really interesting. Let's see. He said, yeah, there's lots of controversy about some of this stuff, but he said, Jesus says, those who seek for controversy will find it. Let's see. So when we hand everything back over to the Holy Spirit will use everything that the mind believes to unwind the mind's beliefs. And sexuality and food are so similar. The problem is that they're on a continuum of preferences, and preferences are judgments, which I thought was really interesting. That I guess it's binary. It's like there's no order of difficulty in earthly items, in illusions, and there's no hierarchy of illusions. And he talked about vow of celibacy. If you still have the desires, you try to lead with form and then get trapped in the judgment, guilt, and denial, like the problems with the Catholic clergy. And Jesus is definitely not having us lead with form. Do the lessons as purification from the inside out, and your behavior just follows. I think is great. You said, oh yeah, there was this another controversy. I thought it was funny that they talked about how Helen would do her own editing sometimes, and so some of the stuff that's in the Ur text wasn't a mistake that Jesus made. It was her going, oh well, it must be this, and so they had to take it out whenever they joined with Jesus and decided what to keep and what not to keep. That was interesting. And he said he admired Krishnamurti because lots of students kept asking him about like, what about sex? Like, do we have sex? Do we not have sex? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, finally he said, have sex, don't have sex, and then get on with it, which was, a really great answer. And he also mentioned, oh, it's Christian, what's up? Don't lead with form. Things fall away when it's time for them to fall away, like children's toys. Oh, whoa. How did that happen? Okay. So those were my highlights. But let's take a moment and say hi to Christian, who's on the line. Yuli, can you tell us who you are and where you're from and what you're excited about? Christian. Huh. You're kind of frozen. I don't know. Maybe you'll say hi to us in a bit when you're not frozen. Okay. Who else wants to add their highlights from the videos or talk about any of that?
Well, as I was saying, I haven't actually watched the videos, but I thought it was quite interesting with the whole craving sex. That whole topic is quite interesting. As I've got a 1.5-year-old son who basically thinks that our bed is his bed. So it just seems to be a concept at the moment. There's that lovely idea of, oh, maybe if it wasn't for the fact that he's basically the block in between us both at the moment, which I don't know. So we got that whole thing going on at the moment where it's very difficult to get once they feel like, yeah, this is my bed. It's one of those things where you if you do want to spend some time together, because we live so far away from parents where potentially they could babysit or whatever, we basically have to be quiet as mice, because he's if you even make one sound, even when you're just getting into bed and putting your head against the pillow, as soon as he hears that, he's awake. So that was a direct result of basically starting to really, we were spending it, we were kind of rediscovering, without going into too much detail, but kind of falling in love again, because you know what it's like in relationships. Sometimes you have your peaks and your troughs. And the basic result of the peaks was the baby. So that's what you get for. So it's I don't know. It's kind of tiring. I would say this is one of the reasons why actually being online at 1 o'clock in the morning can be quite difficult, because normally I can barely keep my eyes open after like 11 o'clock. So,
With a 1.5-year-old.
Luckily I managed it today.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here again. Hey,
Yeah, no
Christian.
problem.
Sorry. Hey, Christian, introduce yourself there, please.
Hey guys, sorry, just kind of having dinner at the same time. How you guys doing?
Oh, wow. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey Mark. Hey Mark, I'm glad you made it today, dude. I was hoping that you would make it today.
Yeah, eventually I literally by chance looked at the times and thought, you know what, I can actually do this tonight. So it was quite a strange thing that I actually managed to get on. But I have been trying to get on for a while. But thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, dude. Thanks. And if anyone's interested, Mark has a podcast on his Course Reality channel on YouTube.
Oh wow, awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't see the videos, and I just wanted to stop in and say hi. I'm kind of like dazed and confused a little bit. I was supposed to go to work, and instead I'm just having some Vietnamese food. But yeah, so just dropped in to say hi with you guys, and yeah, that's about it.
Thanks for being on, man.
Yeah.
All right. So who else wants to talk about the video?
What were the titles of the videos?
They are Healing Food Addictions and Eating Disorders, and David Hoffmeister is the teacher. And then Craving, Sex and Food, also David Hoffmeister. And so that second one is 30 minutes long. So I was like, oh, wow, okay, I'm going to have plenty of notes to write on this one. And I basically just like read all my notes, and I don't know how long it took, but it was a lot of notes. So thanks for some awesome videos.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch some later before I watch the replay, and yeah, maybe just leave a commentary and text chat or whatever. But I do like David Hoffmeister.
Cool. Right on. All right, Nathan or Linda.
Hey, so I watched the videos, but I don't know. I don't really have anything to say. I was kind of listening to them, just like taking it in. Angela, I just really enjoyed hearing your summary of it, but yeah, I didn't really have any comments. So thanks.
If I did have one comment in regards to like form versus content, sex and money, or addictions, one thing that keeps popping in my head is a card, one of Gary Renard's Disappearance of the Universe cards, and it popped up and it basically said, when it comes to compulsive addictions, one should not be expected to give up those desires. That would come naturally as a result of becoming really good at practicing forgiveness.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like one of the last things that I said from the second video. He said, "Don't lead with form. Things will fall away as it's time for them to fall away." Kind of like children's toys.
Exactly, and I've been kind of like talking a bit to spirit and stuff, and like it's like, yeah, I need do nothing. If I think I need to do something or make the form real. Yeah, as you all know, I struggle with addiction, still do and stuff. But rather than struggling, today Jesus just said to me, "Just chill, just take it easy, bud. It's okay." So yeah.
Let it be you. Let it be
Yeah. Take time, slow and easy, and
yeah, right on. Linda, you want to share your ideas and thoughts?
I'm glad I could bring this up because, it's like once in a while we have to keep a check on ourselves, as we get older, we're not turning into Arnold Schwarzeneggers or Angelina Jolie. We have to try and do better. And I'm doing the best I can, and that's all I can do. And the thing is, my diet diverticulitis. It's not easy, but I'm glad I have my furry baby here to keep me happy. Bunny? And she wants to say hello to her Aunt Angela, Uncle Mark, Uncle Chris, and Uncle Nathan, even to her Uncle Jared and huh? You want to say hello to your Aunt Crystal too, huh, Bunny? Everybody loves you here at this Audio Books Club. Huh, Bunny? My name is Lucy. Right, baby? Oh, somebody wants a nap, huh? And I know her. She wants cookie. Oh, God, that's practically her addiction. But, I mean, I give her maybe like 1 in the morning, and maybe like 2 at bedtime, and that's it, you know? And maybe if I'm going out, maybe I'll just toss her one, you know, shut her up. Just have her run in the kitchen and get it. Because when I go to leave, I have to go out somewhere. I mean, she'll like, ah. I'm like, yeah, here's a cookie, shut up. And she loves the Denta Sticks. Oh, God. Denta Sticks. Dentastix. You can buy that at any dog food place for your dog.
Well, Linda, why did you choose these videos for this week? Like, what like inspired you like about these videos to choose them?
Oh, about those videos?
Mm-hmm.
I want to maybe like try and focus on addiction. So, and I found something with food. So, I mean, we have to try ourselves as healthy as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And Jared does have something I like to join, but I'm a little short of money right now. So, I mean, I'd love to give it a try. I mean, it's like usually at bedtime. I mean, it's like I need to have a snack, and it's like, and I'm trying not to do that. So it's, and I love doing a Course in Miracles, but every day it's a challenge. But I have my daughter here to keep me happy. She loves everybody here.
Cool.
Right, Bunny?
Well,
she gives everybody a kiss.
Well, does anyone have anything else to say about the videos themselves? Any comments they want to make about anybody else's comments?
So I think it's quite interesting actually that these videos cropped up, because one of the things that me and my girlfriends kind of do is we're always on these, we always go through these diets, and we always seem to do them together, almost like fad diets. We have Slim and Wild over here. I don't know where.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I found, the one thing I realized was that if I was going to do a diet, or if I was going to go on a diet, I couldn't do it with her, because if she stopped, then I'd stop. So I ended up having to do kind of like just, I kind of just gave, in the end, I think it was when I first started going on all the diets, it was probably 5 years ago, which was before I found the course. And the more you start to understand about, you know, or the more you feel like you can just kind of be okay with what you're eating. And I've kind of maintained the same weight, and I would like to lose weight. And I've recently started new medication, which is actually also prescribed as a binge eating or a food suppressant. So I've been eating a lot less, and yet I don't seem to be shifting any weight. I think I was really expecting like within a couple of months to start to look thinner, but even though I haven't been eating anywhere near as much, it doesn't seem to make much difference. So it's a funny one, food, because it is one of those pleasures in life where you think, well, you know, when I actually deprive myself from eating things, I think, why am I even, what is the point of going through the day if I can't just eat what I want? I mean, obviously there's a difference between eating what you want and eating copious amounts of what you think you want. But I just decided I wasn't going to deny myself anything. I'll just basically eat what I want when I want without going crazy with it. But at the same time, diets are just, and trying to eat, there's so much guilt attached to food and what's good for you, and does this create cancer? And you know, you see so many people kind of in their own strange version of hell because of diets. They lose the weight, they put the weight back on, they lose the weight, you know, what they call yo-yo dieting. And I think, to be honest with you, the only reason, I mean, I was really thin when I was younger, and obviously, well, not obviously, but once I met my girlfriend and kind of settled down and had a family, you kind of doing less. And then when I actually put on 2 stone as soon as I learned to drive, because then you're not walking anymore. So it's one of those weird things that just everyone seems to go through. But personally, I've given up on it now. So I'm not going to diet. I'm not going to try and stop eating this, that, and the other, because it ends up consuming the whole day and kind of just ruining things that I want. So yeah, I've kind of just stopped now. Just allow myself to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and let the chips, not chips or fries, but let them fall wherever.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely, you're right. There's lots of guilt and lots of all kinds of like stuff that we create in our minds to get in between being what we could be, and just like a distraction. So yeah, I get it. It's funny though, because like I enjoy eating healthy because then I feel better, but then it's so easy to go too far and like deprive yourself of things like you said, and that kind of creates its own like problem. But then if you eat like only sugar, then I don't know, I guess it depends on what's going on in your mind. Like I have a belief system about food, and therefore I experience everything through that belief system. So it's just funny. It's like, oh wait, what am I saying? Oh, this is my belief system. So yeah, it's fun. Interesting. Cool. Well, anybody else have any comments?
I was just one of the things I was thinking. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking, I always really enjoy listening to Nathan. I think Nathan, of everyone who comes into all the videos I've seen, Nathan always seems to be the most honest. He kind of wears it all on his sleeve. I always like listening to Nathan. So maybe that's just me kind of wanting him to talk. I don't know.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think that's a cue, dude. So what do you have to say about that, Nathan? Do you have any more wisdom to share with us? Any more everything out on your sleeve?
No, unless you guys are ready to do forgiveness in the field, and then I'll, out on the sleeve all over you.
I'm ready to do forgiveness in the field, unless other folk want to say. Do you have
Fuck yeah, let's do it. All right.
Okay.
So this week was tough because I had to work with other humans, and that's always hard for me. I have a lot of my self-worth and need for approval tied to my work, as a lot of people do, especially men. So anyway, what happened this week? So yeah, I did some stuff wrong. I accidentally plugged a piece of equipment that needed 110 volts into a supply that gave it 230 volts.
Yikes.
And that tripped the breaker, and I didn't know what had happened, but I fried a piece of equipment there. It could have been a lot worse. Luckily, I just fried a piece of protection equipment and not a piece of show critical equipment. But anyway, I was pretty embarrassed. It's like, there's so many things that I don't know. And I just realized in that moment, like all of my imagination was going pretty like down the worst case scenario rabbit hole, they're imposter syndrome. They're going to find out that I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to think that I'm an idiot and an amateur. I'm not going to get hired by this company again. What was the other thing? Oh, and I was embarrassed that I didn't just ask. Like, that's usually the worst thing. Like, I don't have to know everything, and I should have just asked. But I spend so much of my time trying to make this false personality of being an expert in everything and knowing everything. So I don't want to ask, and I should have asked. So how's all this stuff going on? And at the same time, I kind of knew, like in the moment, that I was trying to push away these feelings instead of just experiencing them. Like I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll just quit. Maybe I'll just leave. Maybe I'll tell this guy to go fuck himself. And, I didn't do that stuff. and I did come around to find time to do my forgiveness, and I forgave that guy that I was working with, that I was kind of connecting with, and some other people, and then there were some other things that came up later that day and in the morning, so it kind of replayed itself a few more times in my head. But I just kept forgiving them each time, and my guess is that it'll come up a couple more times. I am going to have to, write a report about it, and probably the next time I work with that company, my ego will find plenty of opportunities to remind me about this thing that happened. So I'm looking forward to more forgiveness opportunities related to this incident. That's it. That's my forgiveness in the field.
Cool. Thank you so much, Nathan. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. It's funny, my forgiveness in the field, it feels so general. It feels so, anytime I have feelings of fear or anxiety or lack of self-worth, which, happen commonly, it is pretty automatic, and I just go, oh, forgive that, forgive that, forgive that, forgive that, forgive that. And it does lessen it, but it's just funny now. I'm also using the skills from the landmark classes that I've taken, which go well with Course in Miracles, but it's still code switching for me. So part of my brain is still sort of stuck in those distinctions. But yeah, I still like my initial response to anything that feels negative to me is forgiving. And so I think that's a good place to start, and then sort of dismantling it from there usually works out, and realizing that there is actually no barrier between me and my perfect self, that there are things that I believe that are in between me and my perfect self, and those are the things that I get to forgive. So that's been my experience. Who else wants to share forgiveness in the field?
I actually had a pretty big one this past week, which was, I wasn't expecting it. It was one of those ones where you can almost predict certain things that you would need to forgive, or you would say like, oh yeah, you can imagine certain things coming up. But recently, a really close friend, but more, she was, when I first started to kind of get into Buddhism and whatever, before I found the course, she's like a grandma figure, and she always came across as so kind of wise and helpful and honest, all these things that maybe I'd put her on a pedestal, which I'm pretty sure I had. As I recently found out within just a couple of days ago, that she actually lied about, or she lied about having cancer, wow. Something which she was supposed to have had for a certain amount of years, something I was always thinking about, always hoping she was okay. And there's something really, it's something else when something like that really comes crashing down. So there was a couple of days where I was really trying to start to think about everything that she'd ever told me. Is any of it true? If you can lie about an illness like that, are any of the stories, even though she'd helped me so many times, I did start to question certain things. And then once I'd told my girlfriend, she started to remember other stories and was like, do you think that was true? And then it just it took me a day or two, which is longer than usual. But after a day or two, I really started to see that, when Jesus is on the cross and he looks out and sees nobody but himself, he doesn't see anyone apart from him. I kind of got the impression of, well, it is really a choice about whether I change my view on her. If I'm looking out in the world and I'm seeing nobody but myself, then it really shouldn't matter one way or the other whether or not the version that I thought was real wasn't real. It's it's probably like that for hundreds of people that I meet, where I think they're a certain way and then something changes. But that was kind of a hard forgiveness lesson, and I'm just kind of coming around to the fact that it's probably it needs love more than it needs judgment, because it's kind of pointless. And obviously, if you lie about something like that, then you're obviously in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it was that led her to make a lie like that is probably more painful for her than any pain that I'd be feeling from kind of believing it. And you kind of feel like a fool, because I always, considered myself to be pretty street smart. I would know if someone was lying, but obviously I didn't. So that was quite hard, but it was also, now you start to look at them as like, well, you're in the classroom. So as Ken's always saying, you're in the classroom. So either remember that you're in the classroom, or just keep going over the same old ground as you would with anything else that happens. So, luckily I've kind of put it where it needs to be, and just kind of have to, well, that was a hard one. Anyway, it was, I wasn't expecting it. So it was a curveball.
Yeah.
Definitely a curveball, which I've been getting a lot of recently. So there was that. There's another thing as well, which is even worse than that, which, without bringing everyone on a downer, it was only a month ago that one of my best friends committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
And I've made a few videos on my channel talking about that. So it was almost like you have this, it's like a curveball after curveball after curveball. And then immediately, because we're talking about the addictions of food, immediately start to drink more. So all of a sudden I'm drinking, I'm getting high. Anything to kind of take you out of that normal space. You just want something, anything to kind of take your mind off it.
Yeah.
And having that on top, it's like, sometimes it feels like, all right, just knock it off now. You know what I mean? That's enough. Let me deal with this. And then obviously that's not how it works. So, when it rains, it pisses down basically. So.
I'm really sorry to hear about your friend. But yeah, that's definitely a curveball. Jeez. Gosh. Linda, do you have stuff that you want to add? What's your forgiveness in the field?
Oh, okay. What I like to do, I like to forgive myself of my past. And I do that a little bit each day. And my bunny over here, she helps me. She is such a sweet girl. And she gives everybody hugs and kisses here. Right, Lucy, huh? This is all come from Lancaster, California. Lucy's going to be 14 on December 6th. And I love it when she joins me. She likes to stay warm. So I basically have to forgive myself because of my past, so I can just take it in a moment and do better in the future, and that's what I need to do. And the Course in Miracles has helped me to do that. Right, buddy, huh? And right now, Lucy gives hugs and kisses to all her aunts and uncles. Huh, buddy? And you're too tired to give a kiss, right, Lucy? Yes. Give everybody a kiss and a hug here, huh? Let them know they're wonderful people, right, buddy, huh? She's your furry niece.
Very cool. Thank you, Lucy. So, well, it's 7:40. Do we have anything else that we want to add to any of the things that have been said? Thank you guys for being so on the court with your forgiveness lessons. Really, really great. I'm sure that a lot of people will have a lot to see in themselves with you guys. Anything else, or shall we just end the meeting our normal way?
Someone else needs to pick videos, I guess.
Oh, you're right. Anybody feel like picking videos? I mean, I'm not really sure I'm going to be on next week. I may or may not. So.
Hey, Lucy, you pick them, huh?
Pick them, and then maybe I'm not on because I've never picked them before. Unless somebody else.
Yeah, maybe go for it, because I just did ones the week before. Unless somebody else wants to do it, but I'd be down for you to pick some, Angela.
Okay, cool. And I know that it's about 30 minutes of content, right? Is that about it?
Yeah, about 30 minutes total. Ken Wapnick
Cool.
videos, whatever you would like.
Awesome. And then I guess I can also look at Kelly's list to make sure that I'm not picking ones that other people have picked before, even though I suppose.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, there's a lot in there right now, but you know what? If you just go through and watch like a few seconds of all of the ones in the list, then you'll be able to see on YouTube which ones you've already seen.
Mm. Oh, you're right. I get that. Okay, that's really interesting. Kind of like just pick ones that have not ever been
That
used
way you don't
before.
have to just like compare all the titles.
That makes sense, dude. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna pick them. Anybody else have any stuff to add before we unmute all the, I think everyone is actually well, not everybody's in mute, but
Lucy and I would love you all very much. Right, Lucy, huh?
Mhm.
Say hi to Uncle Nathan and Uncle Mark and to everybody. Okay, huh?
Yeah, thanks for, well, you know, it was nice to come on. I have been meaning to do it for a while, so it was actually nice to manage to get the time right and to come on and do whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm up for watching any Ken Wapnick videos that you've got suggested there. I'm quite happy to sit and watch them.
Awesome.
I do that anyway. That's kind of how I spend most of my days, if I'm being completely honest.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being on, Mark. You really added a lot to today's call. It's really cool to have you here.
You did wonderful, Mark.
Yeah.
Lucy can hear all you guys talk. Bunny?
All right, so shall we unmute all the lines and then say good night and God bless, and then everybody have a great weekend.
All right. Good night and God bless.
Good night and God bless.
Good night, God bless.
Bye.
All right.
Say good night, God bless, huh, Bunny?
Bye.